this schedule really shapes up for a playoff run with a 12-team playoff.
Areas that, you need to get from experience, which is just, hey, I need to make quicker decisions.
How do you define success for this team?
National championship.
What's going on, y'all? Bud Elliott here of the Cover 3 College Ball Podcast. The Summer School Series is rolling on, and today I'm in a pretty hot place. Chris Karpman is probably in a place that's a little bit hotter even. We're talking Arizona State. Hot in the temperature gauge, hot also on the field. Chris, how you been?
Doing really well. Love this time of year. Get a little bit of the batteries recharged and gear up for football. Not too hot, fortunately, but at some point in June here, we'll probably hit 110, I'm sure.
Oh, we're a little heady. Okay, there you go. We were 90, 95 today in Orlando, so I feel like it was we could use a little cloud cover here. Last year, a bit of a dream season for Arizona State and Kenny Dillingham, how that all came together. I usually start these by asking what the vibe is, but I'm assuming the vibe is immaculate right
now. Probably never been better, honestly. The feeling that people have about Dillingham being an alumnus who became the youngest head coach in the Power 5, now Power 4, going on to have this type of a biggest turnaround year over year in program history. It's like magic almost. And then the feeling, of course, with so much of the starters returning, nobody lost to the portal, is one in which expectations are very high, almost a little bit uneasy, like how much is legitimately possible for this team, given what the history of ASU football has been.
And you look at this, and there are some key pieces gone, but so many of the key pieces actually return. Probably the most important, quarterback Sam Leavitt, who we had heard some teams made a pretty major run at in the offseason, yet he elects to stay with Arizona State, and why not? I mean, you love the offense, and you just took them to the playoff. Where do they expect to see Leavitt grow this year?
Biggest thing, I think, is with his understanding of defenses situationally. He and Dillingham talked a lot in spring ball about his willingness to take checkdowns, accept the small gain, and move on to the next play, rather than always be needing to kind of scramble around and do things that are a little bit more heroic. It's not maybe in his nature or DNA to take something that's simple and basic. That's going to give them some forward momentum when he knows that there's potential for bigger plays that are out there. But he seems to be more cognizant of that. Great thing about Sam Leavitt, of course, is that he is really mobile and active with his feet. And he is one of the best ball security quarterbacks in the country. I think last year, among all the regular starters, he had the fewest interceptions, which is quite an impressive thing for somebody who was a first-year starter and a redshirt freshman. And then also, I would say probably his understanding of protections and being able to get guys lined up to get checks, to understand what they can do against certain types of coverages and looks. That's taken a pretty good step forward as well.
So sticking with the passing game, Tyson and Mateer come back, the top receiver and top tight end respectively, also 1-2 in terms of target share last year. I assume those guys will hold their spots as the top dog respectively, but who will be, in your opinion, the 2 and the 3 there at receiver?
Yeah, I think Jaron Hamilton, the transfer from Alabama, had a really impressive spring, especially with the deep ball. I think he's going to keep defenses really honest on the other side of the field from Jordan Tyson and Shema Mateer. And then Malik McClain, somebody who played well in the postseason, when Jordan Tyson was out, at 6'4", 6'5", long-bodied guy who can do a variety of things. He has a good chance to be a starter. And then Jalen Moss coming in from Fresno State, where he had 1,100 receiving yards over the first 2 years of college, looks like somebody who, from a reliability standpoint, can service a Melquan Stovall type of a role. That was probably ASU's second or third best receiver last season. So I don't know that anybody's going to have a huge production year other than what you would expect to get from Jordan Tyson. But I think the plan for Marcus Arroyo is to be able to distribute the ball quite a lot to several other players other than Tyson and Mateer. And they seem to have enough athleticism and versatility to be able to do that.
So last year, I mean, this almost looks like a typo when you're going over this. 294 attempts for Cam Scatterbo, and of course, 52 targets as well. I mean, basically half the offense plays either were handed to him or thrown at him. Not that they're going to be able to replace him, but how are they going to try to limit the downside there? I saw they took Udo, the transfer from Army. Is he expected to step into kind of that bell cow role, or is it more committee this year? What are you expecting at running back?
Yeah, I think unlike the last several seasons where ASU's had a 1,000-yard rusher pretty consistently under Sean Aguano, the position coach, going from Benjamin to Rashad White, who's with the Bucs in the NFL. Xavier Ballade was a 1,000-yard rusher. I feel like this is a time when they're going to be more by committee. The skills are very complementary in their running backs. Kyson Brown is a track speed guy, 10.6 100-meter. He's someone who I think the game slowed down quite a bit, and he was Scadaboo's top backup the last couple seasons. And I expect that he will either be the starter or in a timeshare situation. Raleek Brown, people know he was a highly regarded athlete, went to USC, transferred, very twitchy. Last season, he had a grade 3 hamstring, so he didn't play almost the whole year. He's out there and looks like one of their best athletes, and you can throw the ball to him. He's a space athlete, types of, plays where you do reverses and all kinds of, fun stuff with a guy like that. And then I think Kanye Udo is the downhill, one cut, run behind his pads, bigger body type of a guy that can get some more yards after contact and be a goal line, short yardage type of a weapon. They're going to have to, in the aggregate, get enough from those guys, coupled with the gains that Leavitt has made as a passer and with his ability to lead it in offense and some of the big play potential to offset the loss of Cam Scadaboo. That's like the biggest question. The positive thing for ASU to help facilitate that is they have 4 offensive line starters back in addition to Mateer, who you mentioned earlier.
Let me ask you this. Is there a guy who maybe we as media or even the staff may have kind of written off as, okay, maybe he's never going to hit, or on the flip side, maybe a player who, if he was to hit his ceiling a year earlier than we collectively expect him to, that would really change the outlook for this offense?
Probably not. Shema Mateer, somebody who at Cincinnati was a really solid player, but he didn't get the type of offers in the transfer portal that were reflective of what his upside was. I'm pretty confident. Then he went to Colorado, didn't even last the spring with Deion Sanders, and it seemed like he wasn't going to be a starter there. And so it was almost like he fell into the lap of ASU, quite honestly, and became a second-team all-conference player in his first season. Very good blocker, pass pro, run blocker, in space. He is smart and safe with the football. He can run routes. He kind of does everything. So I'd have to go with him. And people, I think, understood what Jordan Tyson was capable of. And there really haven't been any other players who have demonstrated that they're deserving of the type of label that you're describing.
All right, let's hit a break here. On the flip side, we'll talk a little Sun Devil defense with Chris Karpman of Sun Devil Source.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
All right, guys, welcome back into the Cover 3 College Ball podcast. Let's talk a little Sun Devils defense. That's Chris Karpman. Sun Devil Source does a great job of covering all things ASU. And while the offense was better than the defense last year, somewhat, the defense still had some bright moments. And Chris, looking at this, they return a ton of their important players, man. They lose a couple, but like not that many of their studs are gone. Where do you see this defense potentially making a jump?
Everywhere, to be honest. Shamari Simmons was a really great player as their nickel, and people saw his absence, the impact of that in the first quarter against Texas in the Peach Bowl. They brought in Kendrick Breedlove, who was a starter at Purdue, to help replace him. He's battling Montana Warren. I feel like pass rush, though, is where this team has the potential to make the biggest jump. They're in their second year now working with Dyron Reynolds, a noted pass rush guru, somebody who has these clinics with a lot of prominent NFL players in the offseason. And they had a very good spring with some of their better pass rushers, Clayton Smith, Prince Dorba, Elijah O'Neal, Justin Watley, guys on the edge that showed an ability to take starting caliber Big 12 offensive tackles and put them into the spin cycle. And I think collectively that pressure will help ratchet up their ability to generate even more turnovers in addition to negative plays. We already know that in the secondary, with two starting returning safeties, two starting returning corners, that the coverage is going to be very good and reliable in what they run with their cover 3, cover 1 man type of a scheme. That's very dialed in under Brian Ward going into a third season. The only other players that they lost, Jeff Clark, a rotational defensive tackle, not going to be a big deal. Caleb McCullough, rotational linebacker in the 2 deep, not going to be a big deal. Really everywhere else for a team that was first in the Big 12 in run defense and one of the best in the country at turnover margin, one of the best in the Big 12 at generating takeaways. They're gonna almost certainly take a step forward in that area. And if the pass rush gets a little bit better, as I suspect it will, we may be talking about one of the best defenses in the country. Absolutely one of the best, if not the best defenses in the Big 12.
Is there a chance this defense is better than the offense this year?
I expect that it will be. I think that ASU is going to hang its hat defensively. Shouldn't need to do a lot of blitzes or gimmicky type things that expose its players to be giving up big plays. It's going to be very difficult for opponents to go full length of fields and then turn those drives into touchdowns. I just don't expect that to happen a lot. This, to my eye, Bud, looks like perhaps ASU's best defense since the very early Todd Graham era, like 2013, when ASU won 10 games and had Will Sutton, Carl Bradford, and several defensive backs and linebackers that were also all conference caliber players. Very well coached, extremely solid fundamentally. They tackle well. They understand how to prepare for opposing teams or game plans. I would say in every respect, this has a chance to be one of the best defenses that we've seen at ASU in a long time.
Is there a young guy we haven't mentioned on this defense who maybe has like serious breakout potential if he arrives a year earlier than we all kind of expect him to?
Yeah, I think CJ Fight just didn't probably get enough attention as a defensive tackle as a sophomore starter last season. He's someone that I think could easily start at a lot of SEC caliber programs. And as you know, D tackles who don't get a bunch of sacks, they also don't get a lot of accolades. But he's somebody who just eats double teams. You cannot move him off the ball. He can dent the pocket up. He helps others make plays around them. He, I think, was as much as anyone integral in their ability to be one of the better run-stopping teams in the conference. And I think that he's bigger, stronger. He's more athletic now. I feel like he's a guy that people are going to start to pay a lot more attention to.
It felt like last year, and I mean, I've followed your work for a long time. This team just stayed so much healthier than it had the prior 2 years. Like the prior 2 years, I felt like it was just mass reports, like who's in, who's out this week. And it's like, oh, here's, it's a mile long. And last year had, I think, great continuity. But I'm encouraged by the comments about the increased depth. Obviously, like if you just, there's positive regression, negative regression, like just a normal amount of attrition during the year. Maybe this team is more set up to survive that than last year's team would have been. Like it felt like last year's team, the starters were very good and they gelled well, but if they had to get into the depth a ton, they might have had a little more trouble. So I think like it feels like they're made to last, at least for this year. Knock on wood, obviously, but this is pretty encouraging with this schedule. I mean, Northern Arizona at Mississippi State, which they're number 70 as far as the summer school, so we're doing that tomorrow morning. Texas State at Baylor, TCU, and then a bye, and at Utah, Texas Tech, Houston, at Iowa State. I think I love the finish. I mean, like West Virginia, Colorado, Arizona are probably three of the teams in the Big 12 with the least depth. So you're getting those into the season where the attrition might really be biting. How do you define success for this team given what they just did last year?
Great question. Also 2 buys, right? So you're getting time to kind of recover. Not too many sticking points. I would say when you look at that schedule, success is at least 9 wins. Like probably 10 wins is what most ASU fans are going to look at, and a repeat of Big 12 championship for this to be considered a successful season, just given that you have 2/3 of your starters returning, most of your top backups. Sam Leavitt, he's a Heisman whispered candidate early on. I just feel like the schedule sets up well for them. You make a great point. You need to stay healthy. They changed their dynamic workout at the beginning of last season, going to what the Denver Broncos did, which I think contributed to their ability to stay healthy. And then that their depth is going to be better, and their ability to continue to play successfully, even if some guys go out of the lineup, is certainly better than last season, far better than 2 years ago. They just have better, bigger, stronger, faster players, and more of them, which goes really hand in hand with a very good coaching staff, which ASU has with Marcus Arroyo and Brian Ward and Dillingham. The whole staff is back on top of everything else, which also bodes quite well.
Chris, I really enjoy this. I think this is such a fascinating Big 12 this year. I mean, I can see this team winning it. Utah, if everything clicks and they're really good along the line of the scrimmage. There's maybe Iowa State, maybe a Texas Tech if all the transfers hit. It's such a fascinating league this year. I'm really excited to watch, and Arizona State's going to be a big part. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Turnover margin. All the top teams last year were in the top turnover margin teams and good at stopping the run. I think that's what you got to look at to project who will end up on top this season.
100%. All right. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks.